How are we all doing? I can't believe another Groovy Tuesday has come round so quickly. So I hope you're all doing okay. I know it takes a while for everyone to join in on the room. So I'll give it a few minutes and I'll just waffle and have a sip of my lovely cup of coffee. Ah, yes, very nice. You got yourself a nice drink, tea, coffee, water, orange juice? What were you all drinking this morning? Hopefully I can see. Good morning. There's the lovely Mo and Sharon. Good morning. Hopefully you can hear me. Should get the all clear from Gilly shortly. Gilly's in the room with you, or she should be. Good morning, Catherine from sunny Redditch. Yes, it's lovely and sunny down here as well today. Is it? Yeah. It is. I don't know. There's no windows in the studio. There we go. Sound is good. Thank you, Jilly. So glad you can all hear me. So, yes, I know. Yeah, there's no windows in the studio, so I can't remember. I've only been in here about 5 minutes, but I'd forgotten what the weather's like outside. So glad to hear it's nice and sunny wherever Catherine is in Redditch. So there we go. Good morning, Margaret. Just made a cup of tea. Super duper. Lovely Jane's got a glass of orange juice and a cup of tea. Anyone got any nibbles with them? Are they getting ready for the festive period? Have you got any chocolates, or are you all with the grayscalers, or watching your weight before Christmas arrives? So, it's lovely to see so many lovely friendly names popping up on the messages. So it's nice to know that I'm not alone in the room. Well, I am, but you know what I mean. It's lovely to have your company again this week. I hope you've been enjoying what we've been doing over the past few weeks, where we've sort of been taking it back to basics, having a look at some plates that you already have, or giving you some ideas and inspiration on maybe looking at your older plates and thinking, oh yeah, I forgot about that. Maybe I could do this. Maybe I could do that. So sometimes it's good to sort of step back before sort of lunging ahead and sort of going on to the next thing, because there's so many plates that over the years we've released that we often forget about, don't we? And it's all about go maybe sort of, I don't know, how do I describe it? Sort of maybe sort of 1 hour a week, or one day a week or something. Maybe go back and look in your archives and see what you've got and think, oh, I haven't used that one. Oh, I forgot I had that one. Because I know that's a common thing. When I used to go to craft shows and I'd buy stuff and I think, oh, I love that. I'd buy that. And I'd get home and eventually I'd come to put it away and think, oh, I've already got that one. We've all done that, haven't we? We've all, in some way or another, duplicate purchased over the years. Lovely Glynis Whitehead is in the room. Good morning, Glynis. She's got black tea. So, yes. Ken's trying to shake off a stubborn, lingering cold, enjoying a hot cuppa. Well, I hope you get better soon, Ken. I'm sure it's just a passing bug. So, yes. Oh, lovely names. Lovely names. So, what have you all been up to this week? Are you all geared up, getting ready for Christmas? I think I've finished all my presents now. I've done everything online, so it's now just waiting for the good old delivery driver to deliver all the prezzies that I've ordered. Christmas cards, have I written them yet? I've sort of made them, haven't I? We did those little Christmas notelets using Barb's Christmas tree, but I haven't written them yet. And the reason is because I keep leaving them in here. I should take them with me today and maybe write a few. So, yeah. There we go. So how did you get on with your basic grid work? Who gave it a go after last week's episode? Let's have a recap. I finished my little picot cutting for my little crosses. Look. Doesn't that make a difference? It gives sort of an overall impact of just those little areas. And as we explained last week, there's no real, I mean, there is a skill required when it comes to picot cutting, but the little crosses, rather than sort of picot cut all the way around the outside, I thought I would just use the design from Josie, because we've been using Josie's grid. Oh, shall I zoom out a little bit here on this one? Let's have a zoom out. Let me see. I'm going to go out. There we go. There we go. I can see that in a little bit more detail. So remember, we just took this design here, and this is one of Josie's embossed pattern plates. Comes with the separately, or you can get it with the plate mate for A4 and A4 square plates with the little extender bars that Dave came up with the idea of. And we just started off. See, for me, this type of plate where it just has the embossed patterns from Josie are fantastic if you want to give sort of grid work a go, but you're not sure. So it looks beautiful, just embossed out, exactly how it comes. And Josie's done all the hard work for us. I mean, we've been working on this one, which is based on a straight grid. The outer one is based on a diagonal. The one in the middle is also based on a diagonal. And you've got these lovely little elements that you can pick and choose. You can just take elements. You can make, I mean, that would make a lovely border. You could just continue that on, couldn't you? Really, really nice. And then the other day on the craft store, when we launched the beautiful frosted floral overlays, we were showcasing two of Josie's other designs. So this one here is the straight embossed frames and corners. There we go, you can see that. Let's bring them one at a time. Josie's done all that work for us. They're square plates, but obviously you can make them rectangles. You've got some beautiful borders as well, and these fantastic corners as well. See, for me, these corners, they sort of bring back memories of pattern building with the stamps. You know, Barb's clever corners. I think they're brilliant. And you could do that in Groovi as well, couldn't you? Take a little bit longer than it would with a stamp, but I think you'd get a really nice result. Then we've got the diagonal design. Now, if I had to choose between, if budget allowed and I could only choose one, which one would I go for? Decisions. I think if I could only go for one, I think it would be the diagonal. What do you reckon? But they both work side by side as well. And here's a couple of pieces that Josie created using these plates. So this one here is using the straight, and it's the same principle. Let's bring the plate in next to it so we can have it. It's the same principle of what we're doing in the Groovi Tuesday with the other plate. Some picot cutting if you choose to, or do you remember I said you could put the die in the middle and cut out the aperture if you want to frame, and just cut some straight edges. So if I lay that one straight over the top, Josie has just taken it exactly how it comes. Then we have the diagonal. Let's pop that to one side. And we have the diagonal plate as well. Same principle. Josie's just no thinking about it, and just, oh no, she's made that one a little bit shorter. She's brought it in by one. But that looks good as well, doesn't it? So you have the versatility of playing around. So they were the ones that we were showcasing last. Did you check out the frosted floral overlays? Where are they gone? Here they are. Look, we've got them in the packs. We've got them in the black printed parchment. Lovely. And also the stamp version. And the lovely Linda has agreed in February, she's going to take one of the designs. I'm not sure which one yet. I think Linda's still deciding on that herself. And she's going to guide us through every Tuesday on Groovi Tuesday to how to create the beautiful shadow embossing, the colouring. And during the same month, Barb's going to be looking at the printed black line art and be doing that in the Shack as well. So heads up, if you get some gift vouchers for Christmas, then you could be looking for something that coming up in February. So or maybe you've already got them and they're on their way to you as well. Here's a couple of samples. Let me just show you these pieces. This one's beautiful. Who's done this one? Josie Davidson herself. Look at that. The frosted overlay, the colouring behind. Amaryllis, who's done this one? Sneaky peek underneath. The lovely Jane Telford using those plates again. No perforating whatsoever. Just using the design. Got that one. I love this. The black line art is beautiful. Who's done this one? This another one from Josie, using the designer papers and her little border in the background. Let me bring it in on this one. Doesn't that look lovely? It looks like a real lace piece of ribbon just in the background. I really like that effect. And that's using those plates as well. Then we have, now these are going to be from Linda and Lynn. So this is a Linda Williams piece. Look, beautiful frosted element. And Linda's going to be showing this. How amazing is that? And the colouring. Mad, isn't it? And then this one is from Linda Williams again, using those lovely tatty tulips. And then finally, this one, oh, it's from Linda Williams again. So Linda's just spot shadow embossed on that one. And then we have that beautiful artwork in the background. So that was just in case you look, those grids around the outside. Nice finishing touch. So that's just like a little not a sneak peek. I mean, if you tuned in last week in the craft store, then you would have seen Barbara and myself showcasing those over the 5 hours. And they were really fun shows. But as we know, when we're on the shopping channel, we only have so long to demonstrate the products, and we have to try and get across as much information as we can. And hopefully we did that well enough for you. But don't worry, because as I say, in February, Linda's going to be holding our hand and guiding us through. So are we going to call it the Frosted February Floral Overlay Month, or February's Frosted Floral Overlays? We'll come up, we'll work out the proper way where to put the February within all those F's. And in the Shack, Barb's going to be taking us through the black printed parchment as well. A little bit of doodling, a little bit of magic. I'm sure she's got something up her sleeves come February. So that'll be really fun. And the great thing about doing this on Groovi Tuesday and in the Shack is that if you can't tune in live at the time, doesn't matter, because it will always be available on YouTube and Facebook that you can go back and watch again and again. So that's a little bit of a heads up of what's coming up next year. And got some more news for you a little bit later, so stay tuned for that. I just need to tick off. I've recapped the frosted florals, Josie's plates. Yep, and then if I tick it off, then I know I'm not repeating myself. So let's have a look at our lovely little design we created. How far have you got? Did you decide to do any picot cutting, or did you just leave the design embossed? What do you reckon? Oh, yeah, I know. It's difficult, isn't it? But I like the look of that in the background. So I thought today what we'd do, we'd have a look at some colouring again. And we can look at the pencils, and we can also look at the Percocolour pens. And I know we've sort of done this in the past, but if you're tuning in for the first time, you may think, oh, yeah, how do I colour in on the back? Or how do I sort of change the look of it? Well, what I'm going to do and what I tend to do first if I'm working with my project is I'll choose my backing paper and then look at what colours I'm going to go for. So I thought we'd have a look at the rainbow parchment and paper. So I've got mine here. So let's have a look. I've just picked up one of the folders. This has the lemon sorbet sunrise. So you get the parchment and you get the paper as well. Now, because I've already done this on clear parchment, it'd be a little bit of a waste really to use the parchment as a backing, but I can use the paper instead. So we've got 6 different, oh, that's quite nice. Sorry, I got distracted there. You just have a look at you just move it around, don't you? And see where you want it to go. And in each pack, you've got 6 patterns, you get 2 sheets of each, and you get that in both the parchment and the paper as well. But the paper is what we're going to use, what I'm going to use for my background. Oh, that's nice. The light coming in. I wonder if I turn it that way. See, sometimes you just need to turn it around. Turn your folder, or that's nice. Light coming in, dark area there. I like that one. I think that gives a really nice warm glow. So I'm going to use the paper version of this. We do the paper separately as well. There we go. So that is going to be, let's just pop that back in there. So we can have a look at this. There we go. What do you think? It just sort of tones down sort of so if I was to pop this onto, let's get a white piece. I've got a white piece of card here. So I could pop that behind, but you really do lose the detail. I could use the designer papers as well, but I thought I wanted to go with a nice subtle hue to colour in my design. What do you reckon? Do you reckon that works? Come on, what do you reckon? I think that looks really nice. It's a very soft, subtle tone in the background. And remember we built this scene up last week. We used Barb's Christmas tree sampler, one of my favourite plates for Christmas. We used that little tree there. And then these are still, oh, grab that, the little gnomes. 3 little names there. Be good, do good, feel good. And we took the feel good gnome and we just popped the star in because he's singing carols in front of the Christmas tree. Well, that's what I think he is. Yeah. Isn't it funny how you look at these little characters and you sort of build a story behind it? So time to add some colour. So I've decided on my backing, and it's quite a neutral colour in the background. Okay. Sometimes the colour that you put in the back can have an effect on what you're going to colour in with. So for the colouring in, if we get all our bits and pieces together, we have choices. We've got the Faber-Castell Polychromos. Mine are at home, so I won't be using those. But in my lovely pink bag, I've got all my pencils in here and my pens as well. So I'm going to stick with the B pencils, which are the wax-based pencils. And I reckon, look, we've got some lovely oranges in here. I'm going to go with the reds. I want a yellow, maybe a little bit of white. Definitely want some greens for the trees. So we'll go for a couple of different greens. And what other colours do I want to go with? I think that'd be a good place to start with those. And then if we have a look at the pens, I'm going to go with the pens. Now, what am I going to colour in? I reckon. Look, you got 30 to choose from, and I'm struggling. It wasn't too bad with the pencils. I only had 16 to choose from. We're definitely going to go for red. And I definitely want a yellow. I'm not sure whether that's the right yellow, maybe more of a goldy yellow. And I want some greens. And what other colours? Maybe some oranges and some peachy colours. Are you as bad as me trying to choose your colours? I know, it's terrible, isn't it? So let's pop all those down there. And then we're also going to need a scrap of parchment. Okay, because always test your colours first before you apply it to your work. So let's just pop the pens all to one side. There we go. So we've got those. I'm going to need some Dorso oil. I'm going to need some spot-on sponges. I'm going to need some nibs and my blending pen. And I'm also, you may not have seen this, this is my little trick with the water brushes. So I've got a selection of water brushes. None of these have had any water in them at all. I've just kept these completely dry. So these get put in a separate box to the ones that have water in. I mean, obviously the ones that have got water in, you can see. And I'm going to need my mix mats. So this is what we're going to have a look at over the course of this hour. Yes, definitely. Okay. It's all ticking about up here and I'm just thinking, do I need this? Do I need that? But it'll be fine, because if you're not crafting along whilst watching, then you can watch it afterwards, can't you? And go back and think, right, this is what I used, this is what I need. Where have I put that? Luckily, I always put everything back in my pink bag after I finished, so I know that it's going to be there afterwards. Do you do that, or do you just leave it? And Groovi cards, nightmare. They seem to lose themselves. I've got two to add. Let me just pop that to one side. Okay, right. Let me show you the trick with the Perga colour pens first, just so that you can get an idea, because you may think, oh, haven't used those before. Okay, so I'm going to bring my work into place side by side. Let's have a look. Are we good to go? I'm not going too fast, am I? Okay, right. Question from Linda. Which water brushes are they, please? There are two different sizes. So in relation to the sizes, Linda, it's only the barrel length. So for example, if you're just going to use them dry with no water in, then the smaller ones will be perfect. It just depends what you feel more comfortable with. I don't think I've got any small ones. I mean, I tend to go with the larger ones because they just feel more comfortable in my hand. Let me have a look in my pink bag to see if no, I think these are all, he says rummaging. Yeah, these are all long ones because I feel more comfortable with the longer brush. It's not the actual nib, it's the barrel that is large or small. I'm just going through my various different boxes of implements. Yeah, it's excuse me. That's all it is. It's just the length of the barrels. That's all it is. The nibs, you get 3 different sizes. If I got to say. So in relation to the nibs themselves, and it's the same in both the large and the small, you get a thick, a medium, and a thin. Okay, let me just move that out of the way and bring that in over here so we can see. See that one? There we go. So they're the three different sizes, large, medium and small, in relation to the nibs. So they're the same in both the large and the small, okay? So it's just personal choice. I don't think there's any difference in the price. It just depends what you feel more comfortable with. But if you're just going to use it for the what I'm about to show you dry, then the short ones will be perfectly fine for that. Okay, so I hope that's helped with your question. Put the lids on. Why? It's just habit, isn't it? Okie dokie doo. All right. So let's pop that there. So, you know, I was saying I couldn't decide on what red, what orange, what yellow to go with. The reason being is because the technique I'm about to show you, you can get a different effect. You can get different color tones from them. So, for example, if I take this red and I color on here, so let's go. I'm going to do this scientifically. So that's scientifically. There's no science in it at all. So number 7. Number 26. Number 23. And this, I suppose, is like a little guide, isn't it? Oh, wrong place. This is number 22. And then we've got the goldy colour. And that one is number 3. Then we go a brighter yellow. Now they don't look very nice because I'm on black, but I will put a piece of white paper underneath in a moment. That's number 1. And then my green is a number 16. So if I take that white piece of card and pop that underneath, so you can see the difference in the colour tones. So this peachy one now, I mean, that'd be really nice for sort of skin tones or sort of light areas, but I think they work really well. Especially, I think that works really well. It's coming on this one. No, I'm going to go back up there and I'm going to zoom in a little. Up and down like a yo-yo. Ooh, a little bit too close, but I think that will work. Okay. Right. There we go. If I bring this, oh, I've got pens everywhere. You never have enough space, do you, when you're crafting? Let's bring that over a little bit. See, I think that number 22 is a really nice tone to work with in that. And 23 as well works lovely. I think number 1, maybe a little bit too bright. So this is where we go direct onto the parchment with the pen. But these are sort of, they're water-based pens. And they have, it's really weird. So these are perfect for your normal colouring in. If you love doing the postcards, the pop-it postcards or the feathered friends, or your stamped images. Okay, perfect for that. But because they're water-based, obviously you can do a little bit more with them. So for example, what I'm going to do is if I scratch out, I'm using the mix mat, and this is number 26. So this is that second one there. Now, if I take a water brush, I can pick up that color just like that. And now, when I apply it to the parchment, can you see how different that looks? A different look completely. Let me just grab a tissue from behind, just so that I can, and there's no water applied because we know parchment doesn't like water. Okay, so that was number 26. So let's pop that over to the left. Then we'll take number 7. And I'm going to take the same brush as well. Quite similar, but more pinky. Okay. Then I'm going to take orange. So this is number 23. Scribble out some colour. So the mix mats are great for, I mean, you can obviously mix the different colours together. Let's go with a different brush. Let's pick up that colour there. But can you see how you get a softer, more muted pastel look? Okay. Then we'll go with the peachy colour, number 22. This is why I always practice on a piece of parchment first to see what effect I'm going to get. Now that's really soft and subtle. Very soft. Just about see that on there. Okay, so that was that one. Then let's go for number 3. And you can use this for a little bit. It's not going to dry straight away. There we go. And then we've got that colour palette there. And I've just got a tissue. I'm just wiping off the end of the nib. Then number 1. This is a really bright number 1. And then we'll pick up that colour. So you could do a little colour guide, couldn't you, and pop it in a folder, so you haven't got to do this every time. And then finally, we've got the green, number 16. And go pick up that green. So it depends on the look. Excuse me. It depends on the look that you want. Now, if I bring this up closer to the overhead camera, can you see? Yeah, you can, can't you? You can see the difference in the different tones of the colour. So the top row is direct to the parchment, and then it's sort of, I don't know why. I mean, I do, but I don't. See, this is where the science bit comes in, but I'm not scientifically minded. I just tried it once and it sort of worked. And also what you'll find is that if you use the water brushes, this will stay wet a little bit longer than if you go direct to the parchment. So if you find that it's gone a little bit blotchy, you can take a tissue, as long as it's clean, and you can blot off some of the colour. So you can tone it down again. You won't be able to completely remove it because it doesn't work that way. And the pens, once they're down, they are down. The eraser pencils don't work with that. So if I try and it takes some of it off on the lighter colours, but it won't. All it's doing really is it's spreading the colour. Now on here, you're more likely, because you want to take the colour off, you're more likely to work your way through the parchment. So just bear that in mind when you're colouring in. You need to sort of be careful that you stay within the lines. Okay. Then if we look at the pencils, so if we have a look at the B pencils now, so let's go with, we've got the lovely yellow. So this is direct onto the paper, and then we have an orange. So I'm going to do 2 little scribbles. So this one is B8, which you can't see as I've written that because it's yellow. This one is a B9. Then we have a red, which is B11. Forgot to do a second swatch on that one. That was B9, wasn't it? Yeah. And then we have B7. There we go. And then finally we have a B15. I like the B15. I think it's a really nice colour of green. Okay. I also got the white, but there's no point in me doing anything with the white because you're not going to see. Well, you will if I do it on black. And then that's B1. Okay. So if I now hold this up, let me get a black piece of card. Dum, dum, dum. So now if I bring that up, you can see, so we've done the top row, both of them is direct to the parchment. Okay, but what I can do now is if I take some Dorso oil, there's my Dorso, and put some onto spot on sponge, then I shall take my little nibs. These containers are great. So I've already got a blue one in there. Take some of these out. I'm going to be frugal and I'm going to use both ends just to show you. Now, if I pick up a little bit of the oil, if you have too much, it'll just remove the colour. But you can see, hopefully, how it sort of spreads it out. I'll go to the other end. And the magic of the pencil, especially the B pen, and this is the same with the Faber-Castell. So if you've got those set of 12 where you've got the gold and the silver, the metallics, this would look lovely on the Christmas cards, on the little gnome. You could do little bits on the front, couldn't you? Take the white, give that a little mix. Remember I was talking about last week, the white, you could use, if your white work's not so good, then you can use a white pencil to do pretend white work, especially if you're in a rush. Okay, and then we'll do the green. And what I'm doing, I'm just dipping it very lightly into the oil, and then I'm just dabbing off the excess onto the sponge. Okay. And then, there we go. So we've just blended those in there. Now, if I take the white piece of card and bring that up, you can see the difference. The top row is a little bit more sort of scratchy and aged. So depending on the look you want, I mean, on those beautiful flowers from the frosted overlay, you may like that sort of textured look, or you may prefer the softer color tone. It's all about having choices, isn't it? See? Trying to hold it without wobbling my hand. So now that I have my color palette, now becomes the decision on what I'm going to color in and where I'm going to color in. So let's have a little look here. What have you got? Who's going with the pen? Hands up who's going with the pens, and hands up who's going with the pencils. Go on, let me know what you're going to give a go. Let me know if it's the first time that you're going to try and color in as well. Share with the room what you're going to have a go with. I think for the tree, I'm going to go. See, the other thing is, if I turn this over, because technically this would be the back. If I turn this over, I can see what colours will work with my backing paper as well. So there's a question there from Heather. Paul, I have a lot of Pro Marker pens. Can you use them on parchment? Okay, Heather. Now, the only thing with alcohol pens, Pro Markers, is that they need somewhere to evaporate. Parchment isn't absorbent. So if you was to colour in large areas, for example, if I wanted to colour that tree in, I might just get away with it without getting any streaks. The darker you go, the more likely it is that you will get streaks. And the larger the area, you will definitely get streaks. Because normally when we're colouring with alcohol pens, we're working on an absorbent material like card or paper, so that the alcohol sort of soaks in. Because it can't do that on the parchment, then it can sit and cause streaks. So the thing I would suggest is that give it a go on a scrap piece of parchment. Maybe if you, for example, if you want to do the Christmas tree, it'll take 2 seconds, well, it'll take 2 minutes to trace out the tree. Colour it in and see what happens. It can vary from pen to pen, and it will vary from colour to colour. So if I was using alcohol pens, I would be using it in small areas. So for example, I'd be happy using it on the little feet or his hands. But depending on the colour I was using, I wouldn't necessarily colouring his hat or the tree itself. Okay, so maybe say always practice. You've often seen me do this myself. When I come to do my colouring in, choosing my colour palette, a scrap of parchment. Okay, so hopefully that's helped. But you know what? Sometimes it's the only way that I learn is I'll give it a go, and if it works, bonus. And if it doesn't, if you're just doing it on a scrap, that's all you've wasted, is a scrap. Who knows? You may come up with a fantastic way of doing something that you can share with the room and let everybody else know. Okay, so I think I'm going to go with the pencils for my tree. So I'm going to go with the B7. So I'm going to work on the back, because we always work on the, well, I say we always, when I'm working, I always work on the back. Okay. So I'm going to take my light green pencil, which is the B7. I'm going to use my Groovi guard. Because we've perforated, it's a little bit prickly. And my soft and gentle hands, I don't want to ruin those. Oh dear, that just reminded me of that washing up liquid advert. Yeah. Okay, and I'm just going to go on very, very lightly with my colour. And I'm just scribbling on. Okay, I'm not worried about going into the candles or going over the edges, because with the pencils, I can rub out any mistakes that I make. Now I'm going on very softly. I remember when I first started using pencils to colour in on the back of parchment, my first instinct was to get a really nice colour, was to go on heavy. And then from watching Barb in the Shack Shack, what I found was that, especially with a wax-based pencil, if you go on heavy, what you're doing is you're sealing that colour. So therefore it makes it harder to move it around and blend it in. So by going on softly, I'm not creating any seal at all. Okay, does that make sense? Let me just show you the difference. Let's bring a white piece of paper. So if I go on nice and softly like this, and then I'm going to go really random now. I'm just going to go with a red, and I go on softly. Although I don't get that initial blend there, when I apply the oil, that will blend. But if I go on hard, I may get an more intense color. You see, it's definitely more intense because it's more solid. But what that's doing is it's now harder and it looks really grainy. Let me bring this up just to show you. Where am I going? There we go. Okay. So that on this side will now be a lot harder to blend and smooth out than this will. And that's what I learned from watching Barb in the Shack at the beginning of sort of lockdown. It's amazing the little tips that you pick up that stick with you. Okay, so we're going to do green on the trees. Oh, I didn't get a brown out. Let me grab a brown for the trunk of my tree. So I'm going to go with the darker brown. Because what I tend to do first is I put all my colour down. If I'm just going to keep it simple, just this is like the base coat, the underlay, really. So if I put that brown trunk in first, then I'm going to take a nib. Did I have a green nib? Yes, I did indeed. And we'll take some oil. Just pick up a little bit. Again, if you're not sure how much oil you have on your nib, test it on there. I don't know if you can see that. Can you see that little shimmer there? I think that'll be fine. And then I'm just going to work in a circular motion. And because you've got these fantastic points on these nibs, you can get right in to the fine detail. So this is my undercoat, so to speak. And it doesn't matter that I'm going over the lines on the back. So I could colour on the front if I want to, but the back is definitely more forgiving. I'm going to colour the candle because, again, I'm not worried about, because I can take an eraser and rub out the colour in the middle if I wanted to introduce, say, like a red for the flame or a purple. These could be magical candles, couldn't they? And you'll know when to reload the nib with more oil, because what happens is that the pigment stops moving. Okay, so I'm going to pick up a little bit more oil, dab, 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 and I'm going to do half of the tree just so that you can see the difference. I mean, maybe you may want to go sort of more textured look with the tree. You may not want to blend it in, but I love the delicacy, not the delicate, that's not the right word. I love the effect that the Dorso oil turns a pencil to look more like a pen or paint. Okay, so let's turn this over. I've got a white piece of card here. Now, if I bring this up, you can see the difference, can't you? So the top 3 tiers of that tree have been blended, but the bottom haven't. And the bottom still works. It really does. As I say, it just depends on what look that you're going for. Okay. Now, if I take my backing paper and lay that over the top, what I want to do is, once I've done blended my undercoating, I want to sort of darken it up in areas. So like that drop shadow underneath that Barb's really good at doing. Or maybe just darkening it up completely, because another option I have is, if I take my mix mat, I could take, let me show you, I could take the light green and I could take any other colour that I want to. I mean, I could take the darker green, and then I could blend both of those together. I could blend both of those together to get another colour. We'll come back to that just so you can see. But I want to blend the rest of this tree first. So many bits of paper and card, because I'm going to use the same nib to blend those together. So we'll just gently blend. And you'll notice that when I'm doing my blending, you know, before when I was sort of applying the colour, I was going all over the place. This time I'm actually staying within each section of the tree. Don't ask me why. I have no idea why I do that. I haven't got the foggiest. But I do. Weird, isn't it? Isn't it funny? It's only... If I was at home, I really wouldn't be thinking about what I'm doing. But because I'm talking and explaining, some of these little... What's the word I'm looking for? Some of these little weird habits, they stand out, don't they? They stand out when you're talking to somebody about it. Because if you're just doing it at home, you're just doing it. Peculiar. Peculiar indeed. So now we can turn that over. And there we go. So we've now got a nice blended tree. Okay, all the top part of the tree is nicely blended. And if I bring in that lovely, see, that puts like a really nice warm glow behind it, doesn't it? So we've done that. So let's have a look at this bit where we've blended. Well, we haven't blended, we've just put the two different colours on there. So now I can take some oil, can really load up the nib, and I'm just mixing the two colours together. Okay. And so I now have a different tone. Now, before I go, you know what? I'm going to live dangerously. Let's put that under this door. White under there, door. No, I definitely want black under there. This may look absolutely fantastic, or it may look absolute rubbish. But you know what? If it looks rubbish, I can take an eraser and rub it out. Let's bring my little mix mat back into play, pick up some more colour. I've really got no idea. Let's do half of it and see what it looks like, shall we? And don't forget, keep remembering to turn it over and work on the back. Oh, I don't want to turn it over now. Shall I? Yeah, why not? Okay. You can definitely see it's darker at the top than it is at the bottom. It looks a little bit streaky in that top area. Okay. So now what I'm going to do, I do need, see, another good tip for when you're colouring in is to work on the, oh, that went wrong. Did you see that? Because I turned the nib over. So the nib had more colour on the other side than I wanted. But it's blended out. Yeah. Okay. Pick up some more. A little bit more oil on my mix mat. And then, so all we're doing, we're just slowly building up the layers of the colour. I mean, this could be a lovely with the little gnomes, it could be a magical little tree, couldn't it? You could have all different, each layer could be a different color. If, for example, you'd gone with that pastel rainbow paper, you've got pinks, yellows, blues in there, a real sort of nice colors of the imaginary rainbow. Okay, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to purposely go over the edge. Uh-oh. So now I've got a bit of a dodgy look. But fear not, he says. Where's that gone? Okay, own up. Who's borrowed my eraser pencil? Oh, no, I had it, didn't I? Here it is. It was me. So now I'm going to take the eraser pencil, and all of a sudden we've pruned the tree. And if you find that what you've done on top you don't like, then what I would suggest you use the pink end. I use the white because it just takes it away quickly. But if you want to take a gradual, use the pink. It's softer, light pressure, and it will just remove some of the color. And what I really need is a brush. So I have a habit of, oh, that's got talcum powder on it. Oh, that's all right. Smell nice. Oh, I love the smell of baby powder. There we go. So on the, well, I can't believe where the time has gone this morning. Woo. Okay. So we've got a bit of, I mean, it's not massively different, but hopefully you can see that the top is definitely darker than the bottom. Okay. So if I now take this and I pop it on there, I think that looks really nice. What do you think? Yeah, I like that. And the little candles, where they're green at the moment, but I can take the eraser pencil and I can remove the green, and then I can reintroduce a color. So I could do whatever color in the candles. I can go red, I can go yellow, I can go pink, green, purple, orange, blue. We could have magical little candles, couldn't we? Like those battery operated ones that change color. Yeah, I like that. It's definitely a work in progress. And I think I've just seen someone on there talking about the perga crystals. I think the perga crystals will make perfect little sparkles. Good idea. Well suggested, Catherine. I'm sure maybe somebody further up suggested it, but I can only see the end of the message. Yeah, those little perga crystals, especially the fairy light ones, because they come with little stars as well. Yeah. Let me make a note to myself. I'm going to write perga crystals. Perga crystals next week. That'll be my reminder, because by the time next week comes, I would have forgotten what we said we're going to look at. So have fun this week with experimenting with colour. If you've got that Christmas tree or any sort of basic shape that you're not sure about, and you're looking at the colour for the first time and you're thinking, I've got the pencils, but I've never used them, or I've got the pencils and I've always just coloured them in, not done any blending with the Dorso oil, or I've got the pens, but you've never really sort of taken them out the tin. Lovely tin. Give it a go. Maybe spend just an hour a day, or half an hour or 15 minutes, just experimenting on a scrap of parchment and see what you can come up with. And I say, for those of you at home that have alcohol pens, I mean, I've got alcohol pens, but I've no idea where they are. But I do know back in the early days when I was trying to colour in with alcohol pens, that was my experience, that I'd get a lot of streaking in larger areas. Maybe I've learned a lot since that time, so maybe I'll try and dig out my alcohol pens and have a go and see if my findings have changed, because things do change. And it's not that the pens have changed or the parchment's changed, it's just the application has changed. And I think that's some of the things that we learn. I mean, I've learned so much from the Shack with colouring in, with the light and the dark and the light and the dark, choosing 3 tones of colour, dark, medium and light. And we subconsciously sort of pick up all these little bins, and then they register, and then there's, well, they sort of register. Sometimes they stay there and sometimes they don't. So give colouring a go and show me on Groovi Worldwide and Clarity Worldwide, show me what you come up with. And as I say, you may come up with, oh, did you know you could do this? Oh, did you know you could do that? And all of a sudden, we've got a brand new idea. So I hope you've enjoyed that. Now, what else have I got on my list? So the Pergamano School with the lovely Linda Williams restarts on the 4th of January with the multi-needle tools, and we're continuing with the semicircle. So Linda's getting all geared up for that in the new year. On the 1st of February, after we've finished volume 1, I mean, what a book that is. Once we've finished volume 1, Linda's then going to hold her hand again every week through the frosted floral overlays. Barb will be using the black line art on parchment in February, but there's plenty of time to happen before February. On Thursday, Barb's back in the Shack at 10 o'clock. I'll be with you in the room, in the virtual room. So like Jilly, if you've got any questions, I'll be there to help and answer. And yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this week. And I'll see you in the Shack on Thursday. Otherwise, I shall see you on Groovi Tuesday next week. Yeah, next week. So take care, and I really look forward. Please share all your work on Groovi Worldwide and Facebook and Clarity Worldwide, because it's fantastic to see what people come up with. So until next week, take care, stay safe, and keep on crafting. Bye-bye.